This is Disruptors Unleashed, the series that takes a closer look at the disruptive technologies shaping our world and the trailblazers igniting change across industries. Previously, we explored radical and innovative insights on how products can and should be designed for every stage of the life cycle, including end of life. In this episode, we'll focus on how you can move to a circular value network to achieve profitability. With us today is Anne Asensio. She is the Vice President of Design Experience at Dassault Systems. Hello, Anne. Welcome to this podcast. So, Anne, as we know, design plays a huge role in the transition to a circular economy. So, how can companies use design to influence consumers' way of living?
So, typically, everything that companies deliver is a value proposition for their customers. That's the name of the game. That's what company does. So the quality and the differentiated value that they propose, that's what makes companies successful. But most customers today are also fully aware of the situation, the state of the planet. So we can consider that right now, we can feel a disconnect and the struggle for changing our behaviors, changing the way we interact with the goods, changing the way we basically operate in a daily basis with all of that situation that the new capitalism is proposing to us, that did basically bring quality of life, but today just come to an end. How to do that? First of all, it's probably by understanding our impact to the environment. And how we do so is by stopping and proposing a new addiction, because we addict to our innovative and intensive way of living that are really, really exhausting the planet. We need to shift, and to shift to this more circular economy model, something where stakeholders keep into this assess value and we maintain the state of the world. There are two real positions. Customers, sometimes they believe in solutions, in engineering, but it's the end of experts. So they kind of feeling powerless in a way that it's not really in their hands. Or they completely powerless, thinking that there are no way to change. They are facing the scope of the change and they are just like freeze. They freeze completely. So this is really what design can do, is to propose a new narrative, is to propose scenarios that are basically bringing value for behavior change. And I would like to say that it's probably the most important role of design. We can say circular design and circularity, it starts by design. To be regenerative or restorative, it starts by the way we design the product. We design the system and the services, the way we experience and interact with all of those goods and whatever fashion, vehicles, and so on. So the only way is to shift the narrative, but also to shift in a way you give contribution and access to people to act, to engage, to make the change. And to make the change, we need tools. They need to grasp the digital transformation, the capability to actually act at the crossroad of design and science. And that's really what we would love to do at Dassault Systèmes.
Absolutely. You know, I like what you said about how design proposes new narratives and new scenarios, especially ones that bring out value for behavioral change. And ultimately, it all starts with design. So, thank you for those insights, Anne. Next up, we've got Christophe Monjeu, the Business Strategy Director for the Transport and Mobility Industry at Dassault Systems. Welcome, Christophe. So our next question is on the topic of sustainable mobility. So Christophe, as we know, sustainable mobility is key to building better cities. In your experience, what are 5 important innovations in mobility that companies can tap into right now?
Today, the main challenge for better life in the cities is to fight against pollution. In order to do that, we see 5 innovations. First innovation is the transition toward electrification of the vehicle. We see already some cities that have banned internal combustion engine cars from downtown. Secondly, reducing the traffic by developing micro-mobility solutions like electric bike or electric scooter. Third, developing autonomous shuttle in connection with the public transportation that is already in the transformation towards electrification. Fourth, developing mobility as a services. For example, being able to easily rent a vehicle when I need and adapted to my need. Could be a bicycle, family car, or a van. Fifth, extended shared mobility offer. For example, car sharing as owner of a car in order to share my car with other passengers, but also as passenger looking for a car for a defined trip. There is also carpooling that will facilitate the sharing of the vehicle. Finally, in this massive transformation, this is the first time in automotive market that there is such transformation where traditional OEM are facing to new competitors, startups, so they will have to adapt in order to define new business model in order to generate more revenues.
Thank you for those examples, Christophe. It's really good to see some of these innovations gaining traction, especially electrification. And I look forward to seeing more of these come forward from the automotive industry. So thank you for those insights. Now, folks, let's shift gears and take our attention to the mining industry. To share insights in this area, we've got Delphine Gondois, who is the Business Value Consultant Senior Manager of the Infrastructure, Energy and Materials industry at Dassault Systèmes. Welcome, Delphine. So, how are companies mitigating the impact of mining? Could you share 3 examples that have inspired you?
Mining companies today are making a lot of efforts. They are talking a lot about how to be more sustainable, how to mitigate their effects. So the first big effort that they are putting through is how to minimize their footprint. Indeed, if we are to open 60,000 new mines, we have to be very mindful of the footprint of the land surface that's going to be occupied. But also, as we are getting closer to vulnerable sites, human settlement underneath the ocean, within spaces of cultural or environmental significance, we need to think about minimizing that footprint. So the first thing that can be done, for example, is thinking about the rehabilitation of the site and how to leave the site as close to what it was before when the mine closed. So I can give the example of New Caledonia. When a nickel mine shuts, the land that's left behind is quite barren and very rich in metals. But in New Caledonia, they have found out that there are plants that are endemic to the area, grow in heavy metal soils, and as they grow, they enrich the soil in nitrogen, which will help future generations of plants, but they also gather in their leaves metallic compounds that can be used for the pharmaceutical industry. Another example that we can give is around the water quality. So in this case, could be there is a uranium mine in France that shut its operation, but they have left in place their water treatment facility, which was an ion exchange resin treatment plant. And it is still in place to ensure that the water reaching the local town remains below 0.67 becquerel, if my memory serves me right, which is a fairly low level of radioactivity, which is even lower than the natural water around the area, because it is a granite-rich area. Another example that we can quote to mitigate the impact of mining is there is more and more the development of collaborative hubs that I've mentioned, where mining companies, even competitors, have put together resources and efforts to solve the challenges that they are facing today. So to minimize the risk that we've mentioned earlier, they have putting in place either intellectual resources or physical resources. So they're going to share their plant or their rail infrastructure or their ideas and solution to solve a problem. So the ICMM centralizes that very well, but there are today a few collaborative hubs that are appearing.
It's really inspiring to learn about the various initiatives that mining companies are doing to reduce their environmental footprint. I especially like the example from New Caledonia and how the metallic compounds from plants are being used for the pharma industry. Yeah. Thanks again for sharing your thoughts and these very specific examples, Delphine. So now that we've heard a bit of the mining industry, let's move our focus to yet another industry, and this time it's marine and offshore. So with us today is Jean-Benoit Bensoussan. Jean is the business strategy specialist of the marine and offshore industry at Dassault Systèmes. So Jean, to meet the IMO's zero emissions roadmap, shipping companies need to invest in less polluting technologies. It's a tall order, but in your opinion, how can they better balance both circularity and profitability?
Well, when I think about success stories that have inspired me, there are those three companies which come to my mind. First is Chantier de l'Atlantique, together with the consortium Très Grand Mât Carbone, who has been developing and building solid sail to be installed on commercial ships and passenger ships. We see today ship owners investing in wind-assisted propulsion because it becomes really a competitive advantage for those companies to be able to show to their clients, to their customer, that they are able to offer reduced greenhouse gas emission transport or shipment. The other company which comes to my mind is Beneteau. Beneteau, who has committed to transport all their motorboat product line on sailing ship. It appears that sometimes it is better to transport your goods on smaller ships because they will call in smaller ports rather than call on a big port where you have to wait a long waiting time before you're able to berth and where you're usually facing heavy bureaucracy. And this obviously leads to saving time and money. The last company which comes to my mind is Sirocco, who has been leveraging their technology development on their sailing ship prototype in order to build a virtual twin platform to help ship owners modelize their energy performance of their ship. And by this way, showing how their business model of data analysis and simulation can support ship owners on their sustainability goals.
Thank you for those success stories, Sean. You uncovered some good strategies in there for shipping companies to speed up their circularity journey. So thank you again. Now, next up, we have Lisa Belkishan. Lisa is the Business Value Consultant Specialist for the aerospace and defense industry at Dassault Systèmes. So, Lisa, tell us what industry changes are happening right now in the aviation value network. Why is a cooperative ecosystem super important today? And how can companies achieve this?
So today, the change we are seeing is clearly the expansion of the aviation value network to other sectors and industry. So the collaboration which is needed to accelerate the development of sustainable aviation is important to develop new systems that are at the cornerstone of all of these industries. So for instance, we are seeing partnerships that are being reinforced in these new themes. Like Airbus and Renault on the electrification topic, or Aéroport de Paris with Air Liquide on the hydrogen airport infrastructures, or again Airbus, Safran and Suez on the recycling topic, which has connected to the startup Tarmac Aerosafe. So clearly, collaboration between companies is really crucial because it empowers innovation. because as we know, for batteries, for instance, is really at the cornerstone of a lot of industries. So aviation, but of course, automotive application. So this is why these partnerships like Airbus and Renault, just to quote one of them, is really crucial, because we know that the technology behind is shared because multiple industries. And this is important also because circularity is by definition a matter of a lot of stakeholders, and it's a definition of a holistic way to define the new way of designing a product from its first stages until the end of life. So this is also part of the definition of circularity to handle with a lot of industries.
Certainly. You made a really good point there, Lisa. Circularity does involve the entire value network, so there's a much higher priority on partnerships and stakeholder collaboration today. Thank you for sharing your insights, Lisa. Disruptors Unleashed is produced by Dassault Systems. For more episodes, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, or your nearest audio streaming platform. To learn more about Dassault Systems, visit us at 3ds.com.